viewers. In this short video, we are going to discuss about action-effect pairs of forces. You can as well call it as cause and effect pairs. So let us consider an example. There is an isolated ring in the space on which there is a single force acting as shown by this blue arrow. Let us perform a thought experiment. What will be the effect of this force? Under the action of this force, ring will be translated by certain distance and it will assume the position as shown here after certain time t. Now let us perform another thought experiment where the same ring is now subjected to pair of equal and opposite forces shown by these two blue arrows. What will be the effect of these forces on this ring? Probably the ring would change its shape and it will be something like this. It will get transformed into the shape something like this. Again, if you consider this point on the ring, it is translated by some amount. If you consider this point on the ring, it is translated by some amount. So we understand whether it is one force or multiple forces acting on a body, the effect of force is going to be translation in the direction of the force. What is the difference between the translation exhibited in these two examples? So let us understand the difference. If on this ring, in the first example, you consider any randomly picked 2 points, and let us say the distance between those 2 points is d. When this body translates by some amount and reaches this position, the relative distance between those 2 points or those 2 molecules has not changed. And it is true for any pair of randomly picked up molecules on this entire ring. So as long as the translation is not associated with relative change in the distance between any 2 randomly picked up points on the body, we call that translation as rigid body translation. All molecules on this body, they translate by the same amount, and therefore between any randomly picked pair of molecules, there is not going to be any change between the distance. Now let us visit the second example. Here, the body does not translate as a whole. Instead, there is a tendency of change in distance between 2 particles. For example, if I take this point and this point on the body, under the action of these 2 forces, these 2 points come closer to each other. So no doubt the force has resulted into translation, but it is no longer associated with rigid body translation. In fact, the body exhibits relative translation. Any 2 randomly picked points or molecules on this body under the action of this pair of forces will exhibit change in their relative distance. So here we understood 2 things. One, the effect of force is translation. That translation can either be rigid body translation if all points on the body translate by same amount, and that translation can also be relative translation. So now let us try to define the first action for which we are going to design various members of building which is built using RCC or reinforced concrete. The first action that we are going to talk about is axial force. So let us try and understand few concepts. So let us first define what do we mean by skeletal member. So skeletal member is that member which has its one dimension dominant over other 2 dimensions. For example, you can consider this member. Its one dimension is dominant over the other 2 dimensions. The third dimension is not seen in this view, but we assume that that is small in comparison with this dimension. and therefore such member we call it as skeletal member. Why do we call it as skeletal member? You look at our skeletal, most of the bones do exhibit this property that their one dimension is dominant over the other two dimensions. So therefore, we have unambiguously defined what a skeletal member is. Now let us try and understand what do we mean by axis of a skeletal member. If you consider a point on this skeletal member, there are infinite axes passing through this point. But by axis of a skeletal member, we mean that the axis which is parallel to the greatest dimension of the member or length of the member. So in this case, this is the greatest dimension of a skeletal member. So axis has to be parallel to this dimension. But again, there are infinite axes which are parallel to this dimension or greatest dimension of the skeletal member. So out of that, which one should be qualified as the axis? So for that, we will define the another term called as cross section. Section taken across the greatest dimension of a skeletal member or section taken across the length of the skeletal member by definition is called as cross section. So here, if I take section XX and let us say the section XX is as shown here, it is rectangular, then we say that this beam or this member, skeletal member, has a rectangular cross section. So we have now defined cross section. Now how many such cross sections this member have? Infinite. If we go on joining centroids of all these cross sections, you will get an axis which is parallel to the length, and by definition we call that axis as axis of a skeletal member. So what is the axis of skeletal member? It is centroidal longitudinal axis of that member. With this definition, now let us try and understand what do we mean by axial force. So as the name suggests, this force must be along the axis. So I will apply some loads on this member. Let us say this member is applied, this member is subjected to 3-point loads, 100 kilonewton, 140 kilonewton and 40 kilonewton as shown. As you can observe, algebraic sum of all the forces in horizontal direction is 0. 100 minus 140 plus 40 is 0. Therefore, this member is in equilibrium. Now let us consider two consecutive cross sections of this member in this zone and two consecutive cross sections of this member in this zone. Now, between these two consecutive cross sections, I have marked that portion with this maroon color. Now, if you take algebraic sum, that means the sign with sum with sign of all the forces on left hand side of this cross section, it turns out to be 100 kilonewton towards right. If you take algebraic sum of all the forces on the right hand side of this cross section, it turns out to be 100 kilonewton towards left. Now under the action of these two pairs of 100 kilonewton, these two cross sections will tend to come closer. Now the pair of these two forces of 100 kilonewton magnitude, which are opposite in direction, but they are trying to bring these two cross sections closer together, this pair together is called as axial force at these cross sections. So therefore we must note that axial force at a section is not a single force, it is pair of forces. These forces will either try to bring consecutive cross sections closer, or they will try to take these two consecutive cross sections away. For example, if you consider these two cross sections, algebraic sum of all the forces on the right hand side of this cross section parallel to axis is 40 kilonewton towards right. Algebraic sum of all the forces parallel to axis on left hand side of this cross section is 40 kilonewtons towards left, and under the action of this 40 kilonewton pair, these two cross sections will try to go away from each other, and this pair together is called as axial force of 40 kilonewton at that cross section. So I think we have unambiguously defined what is the axial force. 2 points to note: axial force is not a isolated force, it is pair of forces, equal in magnitude, opposite in direction to each other. They can either try to bring consecutive cross sections closer, or they try to take consecutive cross sections away. Now, what is the sign convention? So if the pair of forces tries to take two consecutive cross sections away, we say that it generates tension, and we call that tensile axial force as positive. So this pair together will be given sign as positive. Now we forgo our applied mechanics sign convention. Towards right is positive and towards left is negative. No, for axial force, it is the pair consisting of forces in opposite directions. As long as this pair tries to drive two consecutive cross sections away, it is producing tensile forces, and we call that axial force as positive. So axial force here is contrary to this sign convention. Therefore here we have axial force of minus 100 kilonewton or axial force of 100 kilonewton compressive, whereas here we have axial force of plus 40 kilonewton or axial force of 40 kilonewton tensile. So we have understood now the definition of axial force. We understood its sign convention, and now let us try and look at the effect of the axial force. As the name suggests, it is the pair of forces along the axis. So therefore, as it is a force, it is going to produce translation. As it is the pair of force which tries to bring the cross sections closer or take them away, therefore we are talking about relative translation. So the effect of axial force will be either elongation along the axis where the cross sections are taken apart, or contraction along the axis. Force is along the axis, so contraction or elongation is also along the axis. And this translation is relative. Mind you, this is not rigid body translation. So effect of axial force is relative translation along the axis. It will be either elongation or contraction depending upon whether the axial force is tensile or compressive in nature. Now let us discuss another type of force, and that is shear force. Again, we consider the same skeletal member, but now these forces are parallel to the cross section or perpendicular to the axis. As you can observe, these forces are perpendicular to the length and parallel to the cross section. We will repeat the same thought experiment. We will consider two consecutive cross sections in this zone and two consecutive cross sections in this zone marked by orange lines. If I take algebraic sum of all the forces on left hand side of this cross section, and these forces are parallel to the cross section, the sum turns out to be 100 kilonewton downward. Mind you, as the entire beam, entire member is in equilibrium, its part is also going to be in equilibrium. So algebraic sum of all the forces on the right hand side must turn out to be 100 kilonewton upward. But under the action of these two pair of forces, which are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, these two cross sections are going to slide over each other. Now let us perform the same experiment on these two cross sections. So algebraic sum of all the forces parallel to the cross section on left hand side of this cross section is going to be 40 kilonewton upward, and on the right hand side it is going to be 40 kilonewton downward. So therefore this pair also tries to slide these cross sections over one another. But as you can see, this sliding will be of contrary nature than this sliding. Now this pair of two equal and opposite forces parallel to the cross section is termed as shear force at a cross section. This shear force is going to cause sliding of cross sections over one another. Therefore, relative distance between the molecules of two cross section is going to change, and therefore its effect is going to be relative sliding. Now let us understand what is the sign convention. Now, whether the cross sections slide in accordance with this way or this way, it is hardly going to make any difference, like tension, unlike tension and compression. Therefore, the sign of shear force is academic in nature, but still we need to define the sign. So algebraic sum of all the forces parallel to the cross section on left hand side of the cross section, if it turns out to be upward, and on right hand side of the cross section, if it turns out to be downward, this pair of forces we call as positive shear force. Therefore, at this section, the shear force is positive 100 kilonewton. At this section, shear force is negative 40 kilonewton. And what is the effect? Effect of shear force is sliding of the cross sections relative to one another. So again, as it is a force, the effect is translation. It is relative translation, but as it is shear force, the translation is along the cross section. When it was axial force, the translation was along the axis. So therefore, we have to understand. Let us summarize. So we understood few points here. Axial force or shear force. These two actions are not single forces. They are pair of equal and opposite forces. Axial force is along the axis. Shear force is along the cross section or perpendicular to the axis of a skeletal member. Axial force produces axial contraction or elongation, which is necessarily relative translation in longitudinal direction or in the direction of axis. Shear force produces sliding of two cross sections over each other perpendicular to the axis or parallel to the cross section. Again, this is relative translation. So with this summary, we will conclude tomorrow's talk. In the next short video, we are going to discuss about other two actions, and those are bending moment and twisting moment. So let us stop here today. Thank you.